over the top of your head and be like, boom, there you go, you're going to be great. That's not how life works. That's not what God wants. There's a reason why you're going to go and stumble and fall down, because he wants warriors. He wants people that are going to come into, knock on his door. When your time is up, he wants to know that you've been battle tested, that you fought through things, that you find a way to always get on top. Welcome to another episode of Kaizen Kast. I'm your host, DelVecchio. Today I'm just going to go over my last couple weeks and my feelings, my ups, my downs. I just want to share this with everybody because it's been a complete roller coaster. I'll start with some positives. Number one, a couple weeks ago, I actually flew up to New Jersey to grab my youngest birth son, Tyler, to drive back down to Florida because he'll be attending IMG this year, which has been a goal of his, and I'm really proud of him. But, you know, what it gave me time to do was just really live in the moment with him, which I don't think I do all the time with any of my kids sometimes, because I'm always on the go, going 110 miles an hour. So when I flew up there, I actually got an opportunity to meet my daughter's boyfriend, great young man. So I'm very blessed to have him in my life, and he really adores my daughter. So I'm so happy for them. So we got to have lunch together. I got to see my buddy Nick, Ty's best friend, who his dad's just passed away, and I'm sorry about that, but I was up there for his funeral the week before, and then I got to see him again the following weekend when I went to go pick up Ty. And then when I picked up Ty, we started our journey and we made our way down to DC, and we went into DC, which the crazy thing is being from the Northeast, I'd never been to DC to see the monuments and see Lincoln Memorial. So we took a night when we first got there and watched and walked around, and it was a fantastic night. It was pretty hot, but we laughed, we enjoyed each other's company, and learned a lot through history we were reading. It was just a really fun, enjoyable night. And the next day we woke up and we went to the Nationals game, which was blazing hot. It was Florida hot, like 96, but dead air. It was hot, but thank God we were able to go in and out. And we stayed for about 6 or 7 innings. The game was okay, nothing great. So we hopped in the car and then started making our journey back down to Florida. And it was just the two of us. And it was nothing but lots of talks, lots of, I just basically told him about all the things that I was going through, what I was struggling to get through, and all the positive things that are happening right now. It was honestly one of the greatest trips a father and son could take, just the two of us, to reflect and stay in the moment also. Like, it's one of the biggest things I have trouble with is, and I actually said that this morning to my niece. She was over helping us unpack our house, but staying in the moment is one of the hardest things I think we all forget to do, because we do what we need to do, and then we're thinking about what's ahead of us already, like for the next day and the next day. And it's sometimes just living in this moment of enjoying every second that we have with each other, because I've said this over and over again, you really don't know how long we're going to be here, and we're on this earth for a very short time if you think about it. So, and anything could happen at any time. As you know, as we saw with our former president, I mean, he almost lost his life, and that was a split second. And, and actually, I do want to say when that did happen, we did lose a fantastic dad. And I'm pretty sure he was a fireman that loved his family, was a Christian man that went to church, and he was protecting his daughter and his wife, which is a symbol of a true man that, gave up his body to protect his family, and he lost his life. So I'm very sorry about that. But I just been really thinking over the last 2 weeks, because we actually are getting out of our house that we're actually filming in today and moving into a different house for multiple reasons. One of them, we're downsizing a little bit because, like I've told you guys before, it's been a very long 3 years of not making money. And it's really out of my control. I mean, I've been on Wall Street 25 years. I've never seen anything like this. You know, in the accountability part, which I always do take, you know, I invested in some companies that ended up going to zero that I probably put a little too much money in, but you live and learn through your mistakes. So we also are doing it because we have a 10-year-old that where we live now, there's zero kids here. It's an older community. We're in a golf community, beautiful, gorgeous, but it's not for him. And we got, you know, he needs to grow up and go from a little boy to a young man to a man with kids around him. Like I grew up. You get on. He can go in this development we're in today. He can get on his bike. He can go, and I can watch him on Life 360 and find out exactly where he is. But he stays in the community, and he's got I mean, we've been there 2 days, and there's been a gazillion kids that have already come by. So that part of it has been a blessing. But to actually be sitting back in this, and let me just rewind a little bit. You know, my man Ethan here just threw together something that's amazing because we didn't have the stand. He had an extra stand. Like we're in this empty house now, and there's this echoing sound that's going through my head and through the house because there's no furniture, there's no dogs barking, and it gives me a feeling of wow, a little bit of depression because I feel like I'm going backwards to go forwards, but we keep moving forward no matter what. Like I brought that up about Ethan because we have to do things on the fly. We have to continually move forward because when you get paralyzed by stuff, like I said, not making money for 3 years can paralyze anybody. But if you don't keep moving forward and keep pushing forward, how are you going to be successful? You're just going to fall into line like everybody else and be a sheep? No, entrepreneurs, what they do is they figure out the next step and you try to enjoy every moment along the way because life's not easy. I said that to my niece this morning. Life is not easy. And no matter what it is, you dive into things. And like I said, I dive in with 2 hands, 2 feet, and I'm going after this thing. But with that, you need to have balance of everything that you do in your life. And you have to work hard at everything in your life. So health, wealth, and relationships, that's the 3 major categories. And if you're not working hard in all of those, then you're missing out, and that's where you're going to lack, and that's where somewhere along the line it's going to be a deficiency that's going to actually hold you back from being greater than you can be. So I honestly think that I'm going through this period of my life, and it's been especially the last couple of weeks, because not only have we moved out of this house, and we moved in the last 2 days into another house. The move was crazy because at about 4 or 5 o'clock, it started monsooning, buckets of rain coming down on us. I think you guys may have seen a quick little story that I sent you about the movers. They were there at my house from this house here started at 8 a.m. and they didn't finish until almost 12:30 a.m. the following day. So it was a long 14-hour day of moving. But I got to meet some great young guys and a father that is teaching his kids the life lessons of working hard. Like I think we lose track of working hard and working smart. But also, like, everybody thinks that, the guys that make tons of money, it's instant gratification. It's not how it goes. It's behind the scenes that gets shit done. It's like what my youngest son is doing right now to prepare for IMG. He's in the trenches training every day. We're in the gym. He's hitting 3 days a week. He's working on getting his knee stronger after tearing his meniscus last year. That's the only way you can become successful. It's not, I told all my kids this when they were little. I wish I had that magic fairy dust that you can spray over the top of your head and be like, boom, there you go, you're going to be great. That's not how life works. That's not what God wants. There's a reason why you're going to go and stumble and fall down, because He wants warriors. He wants people that are going to knock on His door. When your time is up, He wants to know that you've been battle tested, that you fought through things, that you find a way to always get on top. Does it happen all the time? No. But it can happen if you continually keep your mind right, your body right, and if you have a significant other, making sure that is right too. Because today being a perfect example, we had a deal, in the market that I thought we were going to make a lot more money than we did, and we didn't. So I was down on myself, and it's just because it's frustrating because I don't have any control of what the market's going to do. I just do what I can to get the stock, and then wherever the market opens, wherever the deal opens, it opens. But we're in a period of time right now where there's been so few deals and we're getting less stock, and it's been very, very frustrating. And I said, I said this to my wife today. I said, I'm starting to lose hope. I'm starting to lose hope that this business is going to be real again. And she turned to me like a true warrior would say, and a true friend, and a wife that actually loves me, and goes, yeah, but things are changing. You just give it a little bit more time. Don't give up. Don't give up. And it's the same thing that Jimmy V said. Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. Because if you don't keep pushing forward, you're never, ever going to get to your dreams. But I will tell you this. There's never a way that you're going to get there in a straight line. I've said this in other episodes. You could map out your plans, and you should map out your plans so you have a strategy to try to get to your goals, but you're never going to go from point A to point B in a straight line. You're going to zig, you're going to zag, you're going to zig, you're going to zag. And the people that keep pushing themselves to become great, to do a better job, to be a better person, honestly, that's one of the things that I've really worked on over the last 3 years. I've lost sight of being a better person. And I think over the last 3 years, and again, I think that I've always been a very generous person, always wanted to help others, but I was so consumed in myself and trying to make myself feel better, even after opioids, that, the generosity, that's been going on since I was little. I've always had that gene. But now actually really trying to help people, just as simple as when I do this podcast, it makes me feel great, right? It makes me feel great. I hope I have 1 million followers someday, because what I want to do is touch people's lives. But I actually, I see some stuff going back and forth on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, people liking my stuff or also commenting on it and giving me praise. I'm not perfect by any means. That's not even close to being perfect. And I don't think I ever will be, because God doesn't want us to be perfect. And to be honest with you, life would be too boring if we were perfect. There'd be no challenges. I mean, the people that want to be successful are the people that accept the challenges every single day and keep pushing forward. And, these last couple weeks, I've had a lot of challenges financially, a lot of challenges mentally, getting over the fact that I'm leaving a place that I thought, I don't know if it would have been my forever home, but I didn't think I'd be doing it in this manner because, it is what it is. I mean, you make some bad investments. Financially, I don't control the markets. I wish I could, but I can't. And then you also are doing what's best for your children. Right? I could be a selfish person and be like, no, I don't want to go into a community with, I'm doing this all over again, because I have kids that are in their 20s and one that's 19, and now I'm raising a 10-year-old again. So it's not fair to him that he lives in a community where there's old people or older people. There's not a ton of kids. I could be selfish and be like, no, I wanted to stay here and figure it out, or, we downsize in this community. But that's not the right thing to do, especially when you're a dad or a mom that's going through something like this, because you brought these children into this earth, or on this earth, sorry, and you got to show them a better way. But the one thing that I think we lose sight of too as parents is that when you want to show a better way, doesn't mean by giving them everything, because that's what we do. We always want to give them more than what we had. And I said this on other episodes, but I have to say it again. It's about teaching them along the way. So yes, am I always going to give more? Absolutely. Than of myself? Absolutely. Because I want them, when they grow up, to give more to their children. But it's not the materialistic things that are the most important thing. It's how you treat value and how you treat family and how you respect yourself to make yourself a better person, to make him or her as a child a better person, and learn to grow up with manners and learn and not to be entitled, which, sorry to say, we have a lot of people in our country that are entitled, and they think they do no wrong, and then that's the lack of accountability. They go hand in hand. There's no two ways about it. The entitlement and then the lack of accountability that people do not take when they do something wrong. Like I said, did you hear what I said earlier? What I said earlier was, I made some, I didn't know they were going to be bad investments, but what I did is I probably put too much money into these investments thinking they were going to be home runs, and they went to zero. Okay, you live and learn from that. Instead of putting 150,000 into something, I probably should have put 25 or 50,000, because these things are like lottery tickets. But at the time, I was making lots of money, and then you don't think the money's going to stop, and when it does stop, you look back and you have to reflect on yourself for the decisions you make. And most people today don't have the ability to look back on themselves and say, shit, there's my accountability. And I know that's why I'm getting better as a person, because I could never, ever look back on this situation and not point the finger at somebody. This isn't my fault. Like, okay, it's not my fault, because I have no control over the market. But at the end of the day, I have to take some accountability, because I could have done things a little bit different to make it better or make it easier on our lives than I'm doing right now. And again, please, I share this with everybody, not because I'm far from broke, but like, it's a lifestyle change that's going to be for the better, because my wife and I know it's going to be for the better, and we're a great team, and it'll always work out, and we'll figure it out. It's just that I want to explain to you that I always take accountability, even for my wrongdoings 10, 15 years ago. Accountability. I step up just like a man's supposed to do, and you take accountability. Now, I just had this conversation with my youngest son. We talk about it all the time. If you sit in your locker at the end of a game and say, oh, did I play the best game that I could have played today? And you sit there and you look yourself in the mirror and go, and you lie to yourself and say, yeah, I did, then you're only fooling yourself. And that's the easy way out. That's the easy way out. Most people look to point the finger at the other person because it's easier. Instead of looking at themselves and being like, you know what? I got to fix me first. I got to get in better shape. I got to do better with my relationship. Again, it's health, wealth, relationship, right? Like, your health is number one, because if you're in shitty health, then guess what? Your relationships are probably going to be shitty, because part of being in a relationship is also sexual, right? And it's also when you look at somebody, you love them, and you look at them and go, wow, they're in great shape. They look amazing. And then the sexual part of it, if you don't have that part in your relationship, then you're just buddies. Why are we going through this? Why you just want to have a pal? Well, you could have a pal anywhere you want. But if you're really in this and committed to it, the relationship part is just as hard as the wealth part. The wealth part, I always thought, was like the only thing that mattered. The only thing that mattered. And when I was making millions of dollars, I thought that was what it was supposed to be, but it wasn't. It's the relationship part too, that just as important. And that's the part that I'm telling you guys, it's about balance. Like, and it's hard to have all that, because, you know, you work from 8 o'clock in the morning, sometimes till 6 o'clock at night, whatever it is, and you eat dinner, and then you're back at it again, maybe for a couple more hours before you go to bed. Especially when you own your own businesses. Like, we have a couple rental properties that, those never stop. Like, so we're always fixing, and they're brand new to us. So we're always fixing problems. So you go to bed with that stuff, and then you wake up the next morning and you're back at it. And sometimes for no money, for the amount of hours you put in versus what the money we're making on it, man, it's a grind. It's a grind, but I wouldn't trade it for any other thing, because this is on me and my wife and my kids. It's not that I work for somebody and then I punch a clock and then I'm done and then, okay, great, and then I redo and I do it all over. That's boring to me. I'm not saying that people shouldn't do that, and that's great if that's what you want to do. It's just, for me personally, I can't do that. So like the struggles here, that's part of life. And I'll deal with it. And this is one of the reasons why I'm doing the podcast, because I know there's a lot of people out there that are going through this. I want to share another part that just happened to me over the last couple days, who was a good friend. He actually still is a good friend from New Jersey, and I hadn't spoken to him in almost a year. And I thought he was upset at me for something that I did, but I hadn't seen him. So, and we text back and forth. We used to talk on the phone all the time. And I actually saw his son, who's an absolute beast on TikTok, Jake, and he's doing fantastic. He's absolutely massive. He's won a few shows already for competing in bodybuilding, and just an incredible young man that's in unbelievable shape. And I happened to like one of his posts on TikTok, and then I sent him a quick message, and he instantly responded back. Now, he grew up with my oldest son, so I've known the family for 20-something years. And I just said, my gut told me, and this is another thing that I want everybody to understand, you better trust your gut, because your gut always, 98% of the time, always tells the truth. So trust it. And I said, you know what? His son's an unbelievable kid. His dad has done an unbelievable job raising him. For whatever reason, if he's mad at me, he's mad at me. I'm going to give him one more shot. And I did. And I sent him this long text and telling him how great his son looks and what an unbelievable job he's done with him. And I said, I'm sorry if there's something that I did to hurt you or do whatever, because we used to talk almost daily. And there was no response. Then later that night, he finally texted me. He said it had nothing to do with me. He's just going through a tough time. And sometimes people shut down, and he's like, you've always been a great friend. You've always been there for me. And I'm sorry. So this whole time I thought it was me, and he's just going through some tough times. So you never know. Don't quit on people just because you haven't heard from them, or, and again, I've told you this too. My friend circle has gotten very, 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 very small. But this was a man that I spoke to almost daily, and it meant something to me that I reached out to him one last time. And if he didn't reach out to me, then I would have been like, okay, well, I guess it is what it is. I'm in Florida, he's in Jersey, and shit happens in life, and I hope that he's going to be okay. But with that being said, I just I'm really glad he reached out, and we're going to connect again this week. And hopefully have a great conversation, because we used to make each other laugh, and I could use some laughs, and I'm sure he could use some laughs. But I'm telling you guys all this because my life over the last 2 weeks has been nothing. It hasn't been close to perfect. But I will tell you, I won't trade it in, because I know each day that I keep trying to get better, the days have been flying by, and I know something's going to break, and I know doing this podcast for me helps me clear my head. It helps me give some insight to like what's going in my head, that there's probably a lot of people going through the same shit. And I hope that they get out of that rut of, like, let me get home, have a drink, let me get home, take something to relax myself. That you got to keep going. You know what? The more you just face your problems head on, the easier life will get. And there's going to be more. God is going to test you every single day, because he wants to see if there's warriors out there. I think we've lost sight of that part of our lives, where people don't want to be tested as much anymore. They don't. They want to surrender. And I just think that this is a period of my life where I'm going through, like I told you, I really shouldn't be here, so I'm not going to quit. And I'll keep zigging and zagging, because the line I'm trying to get to is a very, the goal I'm trying to get to is very, very high. I've always set high goals for myself, and so should everybody else, because they're reachable. But right now, I'm only just one step, one click, one subscribe away from something big happening on my podcast, something great happening on Wall Street. It'll work. I just, some days are struggles. Some days are struggles. But I will tell you this. I'm blessed to be here. Even though I'm leaving this big house here, I'm going into another unbelievable community, another great house. And it's been a grind over the last 2 weeks. But I'm happy and excited to see the next chapter of our life start. And like my dad has always said, and God rest his soul, this too shall pass. This too shall pass. I'll sign off. Please follow me on every social media, especially TikTok. We got to get that thing moving in the right direction. Instagram is going great, and keep subscribing and following on all social media pages. God bless. Much love. Talk to you next week.